Hey guys, welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to summarize the miscellaneous functions. There's a couple of functions in the script that might be useful for you. And if you're going through the Trader API series, we're going to require certain things that you may have noticed in previous videos. So you're going to need your app key, the secret, and your access token. Now, for those that are new, you can get your tokens via the authentication script, along with this check access token function. Make sure you watch part 2 of the series on authentication. Now, the very first function we have are the movers. So we can request the top movers, which are only the top 10, which are any of these, along with indices, equities, and options. And we can sort by volume, the number of trades, and the percentage up or down. Now, the documentation states that frequency will return the movers with the specified directions of up or down. Now, if you're interested on getting movers, you can use this function. And if we open up this function, of course, we need to pass in the symbol ID, the sort, and the frequency. So depending on what you choose, it's going to build a URL. We're going to use our check access token to update the access token if needed. We're going to pass in that URL along with our access token. And if the page status code is 200, it means that we were able to get data. We're going to extract the content and just return it as a data frame. Otherwise, if there's an error, it's going to print out the error message and it's going to assign DF as null. And here we're just testing the Dow Jones index, getting the top movers in that index, sorting by volume, and setting the frequency to 0. And if you're able to get data, you should see a similar looking table as the one below with 10 columns and 10 rows. We also test the option movers, and here we're sorting by trades and setting the frequency to 60. This is what the table should look like if you're requesting the top movers on options. In the next block, I tried changing the frequency to see if there was any changes, and it seemed to have returned the same table as the one above. I'm not sure if it's because the market is already closed, but I was expecting to see a different table. It may be different if the market session is still open. Now in the next block, we request the top movers for the NASDAQ, change the sort type and the frequency, so that seems to be working fine. Now if you get an error, you should see something similar to the block below where it prints out a table with the page status code, the title, which is a bad request, and the detail. And as you can see, I picked the wrong symbol ID, so it was able to successfully tell me what the error is so I can make the appropriate change. Now another useful function that they have is to get the expiration chains, and this function will retrieve information on the expiration dates for a certain symbol that you pass in, which is the required field. So if we open up this function, we're going to pass in the symbol, create the URL, check our access token. We're going to pass in that URL in our GET request, and again checking the page status code and retrieving the content, otherwise just printing out this error message. So again, pretty straightforward. And I noticed for the symbols, you can pass in indices as well, so it'll list the expiration date, the number of days left to expiration, the expiration type, whether it's regular or weekly, the settlement type, and as we see from the table for XPX, we currently have 54 expirations. Now in the next block, we tried triggering an error by passing in numbers for the symbol. So we see the error message and we also see null for the data frame. We're also able to get market hours by passing in the date. So with this function, you just pass in the date, it'll get equity, option, bond, future, and forex market session times for the date that you pass in. So again, we check the access token, pass in our URL, and extract the contents if the page status code is 200. So for futures, it'll list every product along with their sessions. That's why we have to go through these additional steps, because the data that we get are lists within lists. And we also format the timestamps, which will be in New York time. Otherwise, you'll get an error message stating the problems in the request. So if we take a look at an example, for the May 1st session, it'll list the Forex, bond, equity, option, and all the futures. So as you see, we have close to 1,000 rows and 23 columns. And for the most part, it's because of the futures. So if we scroll to the right, we're able to see the timestamps on the pre-market start and end, the regular market session, and the post-market as well. Now for certain futures, we also see the timestamps for the outcry market. So if this information is useful for you, you can use this function and just pass in the date. Another function that they have is the instruments, which I found was pretty useful. And this can be used to get fundamental data, or if you're trying to do a symbol search. So just pick a symbol and list the projection, which can be any of these. And within the function, again, we build our URL, we check the access token, submit our GET request, and if the page status code is 200, then we extract the contents and verify that we get data. So if the length does not equal 0, it'll step into this block. If we're not requesting fundamental data, then we're just going to rbind all results and return it as a data frame. Otherwise, if it is fundamental data, we're going to extract all the information available. We're going to list all the columns that should be numeric, and we're going to round those columns to 4 decimal places. Otherwise, if there's some sort of error, either nothing is returned or there's an error somewhere. So you'll see the printouts for both of these instances. Now to use this function for fundamental fundamental data, you have to pass in the ticker and set projection to fundamental. So all of these values are returned through the API. Now we can also do a symbol search by using regex. So the first letter in our ticker should be H and the second should be anything between A through Z. So if we take a look at the output, we see that we have 10 rows for 10 tickers along with their descriptions, the exchange, and the asset type. Now in the next block, you can also set these as wildcards. So here I requested all the tickers that have 3 letters, and we were able to get over 2,700 different symbols. As of this recording, we have gone over all the endpoints on market data for the Trader API. For the upcoming tutorials, we're going to go through placing orders and requesting account information. So stay tuned for that. And with that, guys, this concludes the video. I hope this was useful information. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find the script. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.